So today we are going to see about elastomeric impression materials. So elastomers, they comprise a group of synthetic polymer-based impression materials that are chemically cross-linked when set and that can be stretched and yet rapidly recover to the original dimension like vulcanized natural rubber when the applied stress is released. So chemically there are three elastomers based on the backbone of the polymer chain. That is, it can be either polysulfide, silicone, that is condensation silicone or addition silicone, then finally you have polyether. So elastomeric impression materials, from the name you can see they are rubber like stretchable. They are supplied in two components. There is a base phase and a catalyst phase or liquid that are mixed before making impression. They are often formulated in several consistencies including extra low, low, medium, heavy or putty consistency in increasing order of the filler content. So extra low and putty forms are available only for condensation and addition silicone, whereas others they don't have extra low and putty consistency. So polysulfide is provided only in light body and heavy body consistency, and there's no heavy body product for condensation silicone. Generally, pigments are added to give each material a distinct color, so they can be easily identified. So now coming to definition, elastomers, they are polymers that has a glass transition temperature that is below its service temperature, that is usually room temperature. So these materials are characterized by low stiffness and extremely large elastic strains. So elastomeric impression materials, they are a group of flexible chemical polymers. So basically you should remember they are polymers that are either chemically or physically cross-linked. Generally, they can be easily stretched and rapidly recover the original dimension when applied stresses are released according to GPT-9. So you should remember elastomeric impression materials are generally polymers that are cross-linked chemically or physically, and they are easily stretched and they return to the original dimension when the stresses are released. So now coming to ideal desirable properties of an ideal impression material, they should be easy to handle, they should be compatible with oral fluids, they should reproduce the detail accurately, they should have good tear resistance, have no adverse effects on the patient, they should have a pleasant taste, they should be easy to remove from the mouth, especially from undercut areas, and they should be able to be adequately disinfected. And they should remain dimensionally stable even after removal from the mouth, and they should be compatible with all the model construction materials, dental stone or die stone. So coming to uses, they generally made for using impression materials for all, like fixed partial denture, dentulous and edentulous areas. You can make use of elastomeric impression materials. Then they are used for making their bottom molding of special trays, especially polyether, then for bite registration. So this is the bite registration. And duplicating material for refractory cast also you use elastomeric impression materials. So generally they use for making impressions of the fixed partial denture, for bite registration, and then for border molding, and then finally as duplicating material. So coming to the general properties of elastomers, they generally have excellent reproduction of surface details, especially low viscosity elastomers. So based on the filler content, they can be classified as told earlier, from extra low, low, medium, heavy, and putty. Generally, they are hydrophobic. That is, they do not absorb water, but except polyether, which is hydrophilic. They have excellent elastic properties, but incomplete elastic recovery. They have high coefficient of thermal expansion. They have excellent tear strength. And electroplating can be done using copper or silver, and the shelf life is approximately 2 years. And now storing in cool conditions increases the shelf life. Here, dimensional changes occur due to curing shrinkage, loss of the byproducts, incomplete elastic recovery, amount of filler content. Less filler, you have more shrinkage; more filler, you have less shrinkage. And polyether, being hydrophilic, absorbs water and lose soluble plasticizers, causing dimensional changes to occur. And the thermal contraction, when transferred from mouth to room temperature, also occurs, and it is influenced by time of pouring impression, whether you pour it immediately or after 1 day or 2 days. Now coming to certain parameters you should know when coming to elastomeric impression materials, like elasticity. Based on that only, they are classified as elastomeric impression materials. They improve with an increase in curing time in the mouth, and the relative amount of permanent deformation following strain in compression increases the following order. That is, addition silicone followed by condensation silicone followed by polyether and polysulfide. They have permanent deformation more, especially polyether and polysulfide, and recovery of elastic deformation following strain is less rapid for polysulfide than for other types of impression material. And currently, the most frequently there is we use is addition silicone impression material, that is vinyl polysiloxane impression material. Then based on gas strength, it is the order is as follows: hydrocolloids, followed by silicones, followed by polyether, and then finally polysulfide has the best gas strength among all the impression materials. Then gas strength value of hydrocolloids about 1/10 of the value of polysulfides. So increased consistency usually increases the gas strength. So putty has more gas strength compared to low body viscosity. Coming to biocompatibility, uh, allergic reactions or toxic reactions is comparatively less, and cell type toxicity is polysulfide results lowest cell death count, and polyether impression materials they have highest cell cytotoxicity scores when compared to other three impression materials. So now coming to classification, they can be classified as polysulfide, condensation silicone, polyether, and finally addition silicone. So you should remember elastomeric impression materials are polymers that are chemically or physically cross-linked, and they undergo elastic recovery when the stress is released. So ISO classification based on consistency can be classified as light body, medium body or regular body, heavy body, is very heavy body or putty. So consistency is defined by average diameter of the resulting disc of the material by pressing 0.5 ml of mixed material between two plates. So based on the average diameter, you can classify materials. So very high consistency, there is putty like we have a maximum diameter of 35 millimeter, and heavy body consistency have 35 millimeter, and medium or regular body we have a diameter of 41 millimeter, and a light body have a diameter of 36 millimeter. According to ADA, it can be classified as type 1, type 2, and type 3. Where type 1 has a maximum permanent deformation of 2.5 and maximum flow in compression of 0.5, and maximum dimension change in 24 hours is minus 0.5. Whereas type 2, it has minus 1, and type 3 has minus 0.5 dimensional change in 1 day. So now coming to the different elastomeric impression materials, first one is polysulfide. It was the first elastomeric impression material introduced in the market. It's also known by other names such as thiopol impression material, Metcalfe impression material, or vulcanizing impression material. So it is a processing terminology used for manufacturing polysulfide is vulcanizing. It's made by using vulcanizing rubber. And now coming to the composition, consists of a base phase and a catalyst or reactor phase. So base phase is, it consists of polysulfide 3 polymer with terminal SH group that contributes about 74 to 80%. It's the main reactive ingredient that forms rubber. Then you have polysulfide 3 polymer with pennant SH group, that is 2%. It reduces the permanent deformation during removal from the. Then you have fillers form the paste, and dibutyl phthalate is the plasticizer. So generally you should remember polysulfide 3 polymer with a terminal or pendant SH group. Then you have fillers. Then you have dibutyl phthalate plasticizer. Then you have reactor accelerator phase. So main reactor here is lead dioxide, which is about 78%. It's oxidizing agent, causes the that initiates the polymerization reaction. We have sulfur, inert oil like oleic oil or stearic acid. Then dibutyl phthalate plasticizer is present also. It forms phase with lead dioxide and sulfur. So now coming to the properties, it's non-toxic, non-poisonous, but it has a bad odor due to lead dioxide and Metcalfe terminal or pendant SH group. But it's easy to disinfect using butyraldehyde. And flow properties, it is available in various viscosities like light, regular, heavy, and putty. It has a working time of 3 to 6 minutes and setting time of 10 to 20 minutes. So now coming to the mechanical properties, it is highly flexible. So you should remember, polysulfide is the flexibility of all the 4 impression materials and has elastic recovery, improves with time, and has a high tear strength. but it's not dimensionally stable, so cast should be poured immediately after making the impression, and the hardness increases as mentioned earlier. By increasing the filler content, it will increase the hardness of the impression material. Now coming to advantages, it has a long working time, has highest flexibility, highest tear strength. It can be electroplated with silver and has a long shelf life and it's inexpensive when compared to other elastomeric impression materials. But disadvantages is it has an unpleasant odor and taste, long setting time, and dimensional changes occur due to byproduct formation and can stain the cloth because of the lead dioxide and multiple dye pouring is not possible because it's not accurate, has to be poured immediately after making impression. Now coming to the second one is condensation silicone. It's also known as conventional silicone or room temperature vulcanizing silicone. So these are some of the products available in the market. So it has two ingredients, the base phase and the reactant or accelerator phase. So base phase consists of hydroxy-terminal polydimethyl siloxane. It is used for undergoing polymerization and cross-linking to form rubber. Then you have fillers like copper carbonate or colloidal silica, forms paste, increases the strength and gives body to the mix. Then you have reactor paste. You have tri or tetra functional ethyl silicate. It's a cross-linking agent. Tin octate is a catalyst. Fillers are base formers and color pigments to distinguish from base paste. So here you have hydroxy-terminal polydimethyl siloxane and tin octate is the catalyst here. Coming to the properties, it is non-toxic. It has acceptable taste and odor, and proper mixing is required to prevent the accelerator phase from coming in contact with the oral tissues. So it's available in all the four consistencies and has a flow of 0.09%, mixing time 1 minute, working time of 3 minutes, and setting time of 6 to 10 minutes. It has elastic recovery of 99.5%, has a good tear strength, and flexibility is less than that of polysulfide. So you should remember polysulfide has the highest tear strength and highest flexibility, and it's dimensionally not stable due to polymerization shrinkage, incomplete elastic recovery, and thermal contraction and removal from the mouth. Now coming to advantages of condensation silicone, it has adequate working time, it has a clean and clear, pleasant odor that does not stain the cloth, has adequate tear strength, better elastic properties, and can be electroplated with silver and copper. But disadvantages is less flexible when compared to polysulfides, has poor dimensional stability and less accurate if poured immediately, and they are of hydrophobic nature, that is they repel water, and has a poor adequate shelf life of 1 to 2 years. Now coming to addition silicone, these were introduced later to overcome the disadvantages of condensation silicone. So it is also known by other names as polyvinyl siloxane and vinyl polysiloxane. Now coming to ingredients, it has a polydimethyl hydrogen siloxane or a moderately low molecular weight silicone-free polymer with silane terminated. And you have fillers. As mentioned earlier, it modifies the controls of viscosity. That is, fillers determine the flow of the material and the hardness. Then you have reactor phase, it consists of polydimethyl vinyl siloxane or moderately low molecular weight silicone-free polymer with vinyl terminated. Then you have reinforced fillers like powdered silica. Then chloroplastic acid acts as the catalyst. Then you have liquid polymer. Then you have finely divided platinum or palladium that acts as a scavenger for hydrogen gas. So addition silicone gives a byproduct of we have color pigments to distinguish from the base paste. Now coming to the properties of addition silicone, it is highly biocompatible with oral tissues. It has an acceptable color and taste, and it's available in non-consistencies, and it has pseudoplastic properties. And coming to mechanical properties, it high of 99.93% when compared to others, and it has a permanent formation of 0.07% occurs, has a tear strength of 3,500 grams per centimeter, and flexibility is 3%. It has a mixing time of 335 to 45 seconds, working time of 2 to 3 minutes, and setting time of 6 to 8 minutes. Now coming to advantages, it good surface detail reproduction, it's pleasantly handled with acceptable taste and has a short setting time of 6 to 8 minutes, has good elastic recovery and is dimensionally stable when compared to previous two materials and can be electroplated and can pour many dyes as possible. Then disadvantages is its cost is pretty expensive and has a short working time and may release hydrogen gas on setting as a hydrophobic material. So any distortion or loss of detail at the margins of impression is probably caused by undetected moisture it is present in the oral cavity. So overcome these, a non-ionic paste is added to make the impression hydrophilic. So, and another disadvantage is sulfur contamination from natural latex glove that inhibits the setting of additional silicone. Only vinyl gloves are recommended while you make a addition silicone impression material. Now coming to the final impression materials, polyether impression material was introduced in January 1960. It is also known as by commercial names such as Impregnum, Remitech, Polygel, etc. It's available in three viscosities and consists of three. It's a three-phase system that is base phase, reactive, accelerator phase, and a modifier. That's thinner phase is available extra. So, ingredients base case consists of imine terminated polyether or moderately low molecular weight polyether with ethylene imine ring as the terminal group. Then have colloidal silica filler and plasticizer present here is glycol ethyl ether phthalate. Then the reactive base consists of ester derivative of aromatic sulfonic acid. Then you have colloidal silica and glycol ether phthalate. The extra with modifier or thinner base consists of octyl phthalate. It reduces the stiffness or the viscosity of material and gives more working time. So it is non-toxic, non-poisonous. It can cause irritation because of the presence of aromatic sulfonic acid catalyst in the reactor phase, and can cause hypersensitive reaction in some patients because of the ethylene imine rings. So it can cause hypersensitivity and irritation. It's available in three consistencies and flow after 1 hour is less than 0.03%. So it has. So you should remember, elastic recovery is best in addition silicone impression material, and highest wear strength and highest flexibility is in polysulfide. Now coming to polyether, it has elastic recovery of 98.9%, has a permanent deformation of 1.1%, and flexibility is less compared to addition silicone. And mixing time is 45 seconds to 1 minute, working time is 2 minutes, and stepping time is still low of 3 to 5 minutes. And has good dimensional stability because of addition polymerization reaction and less polymerization shrinkage. So now coming to the advantages, it has good pseudoplastic property. That is, it can be used as a tray material as well as a syringe material. And it's dimensionally stable, has less polymerization shrinkage, and has no byproducts when compared to addition silicone, which gives out hydrogen gas. And it can pour more accurate cast, and multiple cast pouring is possible, and cast pouring can be delayed by 1 day if you're not able to pour the impression immediately. It has a long shelf life. Disadvantage is it expands a lot when compared to other elastomers. It has high stiffness and low tear strength, and electroplating is not easy and can cause irritation, and it can be sensitive to some patients because of the terminal imine groups. So it's not available in many range of viscosities, only limited, can be a low or medium or heavy body. Now coming to elastomeric impression materials, the steps in making an impression are: first you have to prepare grain. Then you have to prepare the material, then make an impression, remove the impression, then you have to prepare stone and dyes. So preparing an impression material, so generally you use a stock the impression material. When the materials are provided in two phase tubes, the user should dispense the same length of material onto mixing pad or glass slab. So first the catalyst paste is collected from a stainless steel spatula and then distributed over the base phase. Then the mixture is then spread out over the mixing pad and mass is then scraped up using a spatula blade and spread uniformly. So you can until you get a uniform. I'm not audible. What happened? Using a spatula.
I'm just continuing with this, okay? Chiti, what I'm sound pradin, Chiti. Wait, but I didn't start, dude. 1, 2, 3, start.
So if the mixture is not homogeneous, then curing will also not be uniform, and you get a distorted impression. So if one of the components is in liquid form, such as the catalyst for condensation silicone, the length of phase is dispensed from the tube on a graduated mixing pad, and then it is mixed in the same manner as before. Generally, we use the putty system. Here you can see we are available in two different colors to differentiate between the base and the catalyst phase. So it's available for addition and condensation silicone. Here, two equal scoops of base and catalyst paste are taken and mixed using hand. As they are generally latex gloves, inhibit the polymerization reaction. Use vinyl yoke when you are manipulating a addition silicone impression material. So the best mixing technique is you knead the material with your fingers until you get a uniform color. When the catalyst is a liquid such as in condensation silicone, you can do it with a finger. So impression trays generally custom trays are recommended because it reduces the quantity of material as they're pretty expensive, and also any dimension changes attributed to the material can be minimized because you reduce the bulk of impression material. And especially true for polysulfide impression material, to fabricate a custom tray, you get an first you make a diagnostic impression, then you fabricate a special tray. And you pour a stone cast, then as usual you make a spacer and then adapt a spacer, either aluminum foil or wax is adapted. Then you make use of a chemical cure or light cure acrylic resin. Then you fabricate a custom frame. Then you remove the spacer and make the impression. So in the case of custom tray or a special or a stock tray, make use of tray adhesives. So use of custom trays for polyether and addition silicone impression material is not critical because these materials are stiffer than the polysulfide materials. So you can use disposable stock trays in the case of polysulfide and addition silicone impression materials. So the custom tray reduces the compressibility of material, so you can which makes the removal of material tray more difficult. When severe undercuts are present, use of custom tray should be avoided. You make use of a stock tray. So when so each material is available.
Professional degree holder kada hai India.
So light body it comes in syringe and sprays directly in hard and soft tissues. Heavy body it sprays in the tray to support the light body. It's available in two different colors. It is for materials that exhibit significant polymerization shrinkage. So now coming to mixing systems for elastomers, it can be of three types. That is, you can mix it using hands, or you can make use of a static mixing system, or you use a dynamic mechanical mixing system. So now coming to hand mixing, as told earlier, you take equal of the base and the catalyst and knead using your hands until you get a uniform color. That is, there should be no streaks. Once you get a uniform color, you can make the impression. Whereas if it is available in the case of tubes, you dispense 2 volumes of the paste on the glass slab and mix it evenly using a stainless steel spatula. For a static mixing system, here the impression trays are dispensed from the collapsible tubes. Then you get equal length. It's necessary to take equal length of the base and catalyst base, and then you mix using circular motion. So once you get a strain-free mix, streak-free mix, you can use it. Then coming to static system, they make use of dispenser gun. Here it transforms. Here you have to load the cartridge. Here you can see this is the cartridge which is loaded in the dispenser gun, and when you pull the plunger, the base and the catalyst gets fixed inside and it comes outside as a uniform single paste. So the device used to accomplishing this mixing is a gun for compressing materials in a 2-cylinder cartridge. So this is the cartridge you can see. So base paste and catalyst paste are in separate cartridges. But once you attach it to the gun and pull the plunger here, you can see it gets mixed uniformly and comes out as a single uniform mix. So these are the various mixing tips, and intraoral tips is used for mixing and dispersing into the oral cavity. So as you can see, this is the automatic dispenser gun. This is the cartridges with separate cylinders for the base and the catalyst. This is the mixing tip as one single mix. So it's a very popular means for mixing catalyst and base. Here they are separate cylinders of plastic cartridge. Then equal quantities are dispersed using the thing, and once extruded out of the mixing tip, it is placed in the oral cavity. So mixed materials can be extruded directly either into an injection syringe or impression tray and intraoral injection tips. So these are small ones are intraoral tips. So material left at the tip gets wasted. So silicones, both addition and condensation polyethers are available with this means of mixing, but not polysulfides. They are generally mixed using mixing pads. So mixing system for elastomers. So this is a dynamic mixing system, which is the newest system. Here the catalyst and base are supplied in large plastic bags. You can see here the cartridge is inserted into the top of the mixing machine. So on pressing the button, the parallel plungers push against the plastic bags, thus opening the bag. So material is forced into the dynamic mixing tip. So the advantage of this is more homogeneous uniform mixing. Here you can see when compared to other two methods. So mixing is accomplished by rotating and forward motion. So here you can see it is placed in the instrument and close, and once you press the button, you can see you get a uniform material. So advantages is easy to use, speed and thoroughness of mixing, but disadvantages is pretty expensive when compared to other mixing systems. So impression techniques, you just know the names. Different impression techniques are single viscosity technique, that is monophase or single mix technique. So as you all know, viscosity is based on consistency. It can be a putty, light body, heavy body, or medium or regular body. In monophase technique, we make use of regular body technique, and putty wash or reline technique is two-stage impression technique. So now coming to a comparison of different impression materials. So polysulfides has the high tear strength, tear resistance, and highest flexibility when compared to others. Condensation silicone, it has a short setting time, but it is hydrophobic. And addition silicone is dimensionally stable and has a good tear strength. Then polyether, they are dimensionally stable and they are accurate, but when compared to they cannot be used in case of undercut areas. So, recommended disinfection methods for sterilizing impression material, you use glutaraldehyde for the case of polysulfides and silicones, iodophos for polysulfides and silicones, and chlorine compounds is the only thing you can see can be used for all polysulfides, silicones, and polyether, that is chlorine compounds. You can use complex phenolics for polysulfides and silicones, or phenolic glutaraldehyde. So, here you can see this is the disinfectant. The impression is placed in a tray, and then it is sprayed with either sprayed with a disinfectant or soaked in the disinfectant solution. So now coming to the properties, polysulfide has a working time of 4 to 7 minutes, condensation silicone 2.5 to 4 minutes, addition silicone 2 to 4 minutes, and polyether 3 minutes. The setting time is more in the case of polysulfide 7 to 10 minutes, and tear strength is highest in the case of polysulfide, as mentioned earlier, 2500 to 7000 gram per centimeter, and contraction is more in the case of polysulfide and least in the case of addition silicone. Then you can